Okay. Man, hopefully my sound is working. I just tested it, but I couldn't hear it in the mic for some reason. But we're going to go. We're going to continue this thing. We're going to do this. And my focus today, well, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Bruce, and I teach security compliance on a site called ConvoCourses.com. I started doing it because I started getting a lot of questions about something I know a lot about. So I figured, I'll start talking about it. And I'm doing this live. We've got a couple things lined up here for you. The first thing I want to talk about here is a new feature that I have. If you have not been to my site in a while, I've got a new feature on my site called Communities. And essentially it allows you guys to contact me directly. I got a lot of people trying to contact me, asking me questions, and I like to do videos about it. I just feel like it's I can describe more things with a video. Where I can, I'll just email you back or whatever, or I'll do your resume, help out with a resume and things like that. I can do that. But if it's something where it's like a very deep question, then I feel like I can do it better on a video. So what I've been doing, I'm just trying this out, is when somebody asks me a question that I think that a lot of people might want to know, or actually sometimes some people ask me the same question over and over again, I start just doing videos about it. No edits. I just turn on the camera and I start explaining exactly what's going on. Like somebody asked me recently about an ISO with a TSSCI, and they had an opportunity to be a schedule master. So I answered that question on this site. So if you log into the site, go to Communities. I got the link in the description below. You have to log in to access it. You can ask me a question on there, or you can comment on some of the stuff I've already done, and I'll do these videos and I will be able to release it immediately with no edits or anything. Just put it out there. So go ahead and check this site out. And another thing is, if you're trying to contact me, I've got a link up. People have been asking me over and over again about, do I do Discord? Am I on Discord? What's my Discord link? And the one that I put out there is already broken or whatever. So what I did was I made it so that it does not expire, but it has a limited amount of people who can go on there. So I can refresh it once it maxes out. So if you're interested in contacting me on Discord, there's the link. It's in the description below. First 100 people get in, and then I'll have to redo it at some point. So yeah. Another thing that you should know is I've been updating the courses. So if you haven't been in there in a while, or if you finished a course a while ago, periodically it helps to just go ahead and check it out, because sometimes I'll add more stuff to it. For example, I've probably added 2 to 4 hours worth of new content on some of the old videos that you are probably already familiar with. And that's how I do ConvoCourses. I'll put it out there. I'll put that course out there, and then I'll add to it. Like more things come, or there's an update with the framework or something like that, and I'll keep adding to it. So it really would behoove you to go and check it out every now and then. So that's what's going on with ConvoCourses, if you're wondering. Another update that I should probably let you guys in on is that I'm right now working on one about privacy. I've got some other ones in the works here, but they're not far along enough to really talk about at this point in time. But I've got one for privacy that's coming out soon. I'll probably integrate it with a larger bundle, and that one's coming out. And I've got some other things in the works, so stay tuned for that. And let me get into some of the questions that I have. The privacy one, by the way, is for federal information systems. There's a specific thing that you're supposed to do, a process that you have to do with federal systems. And so that's what I talk about, and have some templates for you. My Discord is in the description below. It's called ConvoCourses. And so, yeah, just hit me up there. You have any questions, we can talk about it. We can I'll make new videos about it, and that's how we'll do this. All right, so I'm going to address this first question. I actually had to do some research on this one, but I have some experience on it. The question that the person asked me was about ACAS. Now, if you didn't know, ACAS is nessus, basically. It's the government, the U.S. federal government has a contract, a large contract with Nessus, which is a vulnerability scanner. And it's the ACAS stands for Assured Compliance Assessment Solution. That's ACAS, but it's just Nessus. Anyway, so their question was, they said, I had a question regarding scanning the network with ACAS. All right, Nessus. Is there anywhere where there's a best practice for the timeline in which a network should be scanned? And they said also any documentation regarding baseline requirements for ACAS would be much appreciated. I'm working with the Army. Is AR 25? They must mean 25. AR 25 doesn't cover this particular subject in its entirety. Okay, yeah, I can kind of answer this. The short answer is there is no timeline for there's no giant organization telling you everyone must scan at this time, and here's the timetable that you should do it. Okay, and the reason and what you mean is frequency. What is the frequency that you should scan? I imagine that's what you mean, because that ties right into what's called continuous monitoring, which is done a lot within federal organizations. It's actually a requirement that you're supposed to do with federal organizations, and I believe some state departments as well. So yeah, frequency. But what I can tell you is that there are some resources that you can use. First of all, if you are familiar with the NIST 853, it does give guidance on vulnerability scanning, and it's vendor neutral, so they're not talking about Nessus in particular or ACAS in particular. They're just talking about scanning in general, right? And what they say here, let me remove my face here so you can see what I'm seeing. What they say is that the organization is the ones that defines the frequency of scanning. So right here, if you look at the bottom here, let me see if I can get my cursor over here. It's RA5, which is a security control for the NIST 853 for vulnerability scanning. And it says scans for vulnerabilities in the information system, whatever information systems you have, and hosted applications as well. And it says that the organization defines the frequency and randomly in accordance with the organization's defined processes. So whatever organization you are in, they are the ones who define when this occurs. And then they can do ad hoc scans, which means like if something's wrong and their process says, okay, if there's a security incident, you must scan, then that's when they'll do it. And when new vulnerabilities potentially affect the system, yes. So this is the guidance that they give you. As you can see, they don't give a specific time frame, and the reason why they don't is because no one knows the organization's needs like the organization. So if, for example, DISA is over Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, all the branches. If DISA says everyone will scan every day, then there's going to be some organizations that they're going to break their functionality. They're going to break their mission because they're having to scan. Scanning comes with a cost. Not only a cost of how many systems you hit within your organization, that's a cost, but also in bandwidth and time. Because the cost is in time that your organization and your staff will spend not being able to access things because this scanner is taking up most of the bandwidth, but also the time that it takes for, I don't know, if you're scanning your servers and your servers can't do their job. So the organization has to make the determination of when the timetable is to scan. I found some other, so that's one of the things that you should keep in mind. There are some best practices, but it doesn't give you a specific time frame, but the best practice is that the organization must make the time frame. That's the best practice that I would tell you that you have to have. And so, yeah, here's the site right here. This is a really good site, by the way. It has all the different breakdowns of how to implement many of the security controls for the NIST 800 and the 850, the 8500 series, which is the Department of Defense in particular. Has some old information assurance controls. That's what these are over here. Anyway, let's go back to the presentation here. Another thing that I would recommend that you take a look at if you're looking for more reference materials for ACAS is the tenable strategy. The tenable strategy is more of a technical breakdown of process, like what things to look out for if you're using Tenable, which is Nessus. If you're using Nessus, what things what are the requirements, customer requirements, what methodology of scanning. So this right here, something like this will give the organization an idea of how they should go about creating a timetable for the scans. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Like, this is a really good resource right here. I would highly recommend it. It's called Tenable Scan Strategy Guide. And like I said, it'll give your organization some idea of how they can go about implementing that frequency. Another really good guide, if you happen to be in the Department of Defense, is the NIST 800-137. And this is for continuous monitoring. This document right here talks about the frequency, but it doesn't give you a frequency. Right. So in many of these documents, that's what they're going to do is they're going to say, yeah, you should have a frequency. You should have a timetable, but that's up to the organization. Let me just show you here. So I'm in the document right now, which talks about continuous monitoring, not with just vulnerability scanning, by the way, but also with things like policy reviews. Like, it talks about making sure that your users are being tended to, making sure that you are removing users who left the organization and things like that. So those are all part of continuous monitoring, but scanning is a very big part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up frequency so I can show you what I mean by they don't give you a time frame. Okay, so let me just show you here. Looking at this one right here, and this is just saying that FISMA, this is the Information Security Management Act of 2002, which was updated, I think, in 2014 or something like that, further emphasizes the importance of continuous monitoring information system security by requiring agencies to conduct the security controls at a frequency appropriate to the risk, but no less than annually. There you go. I mean, that's the closest that they're going to come to giving you some idea of when the timetable is right there. That's the closest that they give. They don't say annually. They don't give you any of that information as far as I have seen. And maybe I'm missing something. And if somebody wants to correct me, feel free. I can show you a place where some other documents have kind of mentioned some other time frames, and maybe I'll pull those up. So what I can tell you, though, is having worked in I just give you some examples of where I've worked and what frequency that they had. So I worked in one organization, and obviously I can't tell you specifically what's going on with it, but let's say it was like the Navy, right? Let's say it was the Navy, and it was in a war zone, right? And it was on a whole bunch of systems that we would scan, and those systems were heavily targeted by all kinds of state-sponsored cyber attacks. And so it was a high impact system, very important system, and it was a highly targeted system. Now, because of that, we scanned every day. The frequency was daily on workstations. We couldn't scan daily on servers because servers are constantly doing stuff. So you don't want to take their bandwidth. You don't want to interfere with servers while they're doing this. So those were actually weekly or ad hoc. So, if something happened where, okay, we need to scan it, see what's going on, or we just updated it, let's go ahead and scan it, make sure that the security features are still there, security controls are still in place, we would scan there. But normally the servers were weekly because those have to do their thing and you don't want to interrupt them. But the actual workstations, those were every day, and you do them like right at the end of the day, at the duty day, like at 6 p.m., Eastern Standard Time, you would go ahead and do your scan from 6 p.m. to like 3 a.m. or whatever, right? And it was 24/7 operation. We just had less people working at that time, so you'd scan at those kind of hours. So that's one thing that I could tell you. And another thing is, we were able to scan because we had a huge budget. I mean, we had huge bandwidth, we had a huge budget, and we had to scan because we had thousands of systems, and those systems are constantly being tampered with, touched, and there's so much risk to all of those surfaces. Like all those surfaces out there, each one can have phishing attacks, each one can have configurations that we don't want. Each one could have somebody messing around trying to delete stuff or add new software or something like that. So those were daily. So another organization that I worked at was, let's say it was aerospace, and it was important, but it wasn't like we weren't in a battlefield or anything like that. It was kind of like moderate, right? Because we're working for all these large government entities and stuff. So we would scan, but it was only like weekly. And then I've also been at organizations where it's a slower pace. There's no need to scan every day. I mean, that would be ridiculous because we only have a few systems. We only had, say, a couple hundred systems, and we only had and the systems were very tightly controlled, and it didn't have a huge threat to associated with it. They'd never been hacked before or anything like that. They didn't have a lot of attacks happen in cyber threats going against them. So for those, we would just do it quarterly. We just do a quarterly scan, or sometimes if we had, like one of those huge Tuesday Microsoft patches or something, then we'd like run a scan or something like that, an ad hoc scan in the middle of our typical frequency. So, you have different. It really depends on the organization. The frequency really depends on the organization is what I'll say about that. Okay, let me see here. I don't know if I had anything else on this one. Oh, okay. I got a sample here of this is publicly available. This is not me jacking one of my clients' information or anything like that. This is a publicly available document that I got off of Google, and they have a breakdown of their processes without, of course, giving any IPs or any specific information that might be vulnerable to them, that may make them vulnerable, obviously. And this is a government site. I don't know why they make these publicly available, but it is. And I just wanted to show you how this organization goes about their frequency. They do talk about it here. So right here, I'm just kind of typing frequency. They use EMAS here. They're using system level continuous monitoring strategy, which they probably got from NIST 137. They say it here, NIST 800-137, which is continuous monitoring. And talking about frequency, let me see. What do they say about frequency? It says, remember, you must be able to justify the rationale behind monitoring frequency for each control. So what's notable here is that this is done at a higher level than you or I. Like I'm not a information system security manager. I'm not a head of agency. I'm just a information system security consultant or an information system security officer. And I merely go off of the policies that are written. The people who actually determine the frequency is going to be way higher than our pay grade, right? It might be as high as an information system security manager, but even that person has to get it signed off by somebody way above their pay grade. So that's another thing to take note of. Let me see if there's anything else in here. It kind of talks about like what kinds of things that you should take into account to determine what kind of frequency you want for your continuous monitoring. It's generally saying continuous monitoring. They don't specifically, in this one, not specifically mentioning vulnerability scans, but you get the idea of, they're saying like it depends on the weaknesses. If you found weaknesses that are there, if this is a really important system, if you know it's been targeted before, you want to increase the frequency because of scanning or detecting vulnerabilities or things like that. Those are all part of continuous monitoring, by the way. All right, so I think that's it. I don't know if I had any more slides on this. I hope that answers your questions. I gave you a couple resources that you should check out. And the straightforward answer is that there is no timetable. The organization has to figure that out themselves, and it's dependent on what they're doing in their industry. It depends on their industry, how much they're being attacked, how many threat vectors are going against them. It depends on how many systems that they have out there, and then their resources, because you might not have the resources to do it. Like the one that we had that was every day, was automated, and that still means somebody has to monitor it at all times. Let me see if I can find one more thing I can show you that actually did have a breakdown of frequency. It had a suggestion, and they based it off the NIST, but like I said, the NIST doesn't really, as far as I know, doesn't tell you a specific frequency. Let me see. Except to say within it should be at least within a year. Let me see. I'm looking for a document that I've actually used before. Let me see. Where is that thing? I always use it, so I don't know why. Security control. Okay, security plan. And it looks like I may not have it. Let me see if this is it. All I'm trying to do is show you like where you would, a recommendation of, the only recommendation I've seen that was very straightforward. That is it's not a standard, it's not a guide, it's not a law or anything like that. It's just a guide that FedRAMP put together. Here it is right here. It's still out there if you want to use it. Just go to FedRAMP. I think it's fedramp.gov, or just Google FedRAMP /gov, and you'll see this site. FedRAMP is a federal site that assists with cloud computing, because U.S. government is using a lot of cloud computing, and basically have a site that breaks down some guidance on what to use, what places you are allowed to use, and then they have like a whole thing where they'll actually do some of the assessment for you. But here's a document that they created. They have really good resources. I'm surprised more people don't talk about this. This is one of the best resources that I've seen. This is a system security plan, Excel spreadsheet. Now, if you log into my site, you can download this for free. But if you go to fedramp.gov, it's out there. So this is no secret. See this column right here? Let me see if I can enlarge this. Column L. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. Column L. It's talking about the frequency, the continuous monitoring frequency. All right. It has annually, it has quarterly, and you could change this based on the organization. It's not set in stone. This is something that you would set up. And so the security control that we were talking about that deals with scanning is RA5. So I'm going to go down to RA5 real quick. And this is just a blank sheet that I use for examples and stuff. Let me see here. But you could, if you didn't have one, you didn't have a security plan, you could use this for your organization. It's pretty thorough. It might be kind of overkill, to be honest with you, if you have a small organization. RA, okay, I keep passing it. RA5, there it is. RA5 scanning. Here it is right here, right above my head. And it's saying quarterly, right? But like I said, this is determined by the organization. This isn't something that you have to do. Like if you might have a frequency that's way more frequent than this, you might need it because maybe your system is more important and needs more. So you could actually change this, because like I said, it's dependent on the organization. So I hope that helps. That provides another reference for you. I'm going to continue going here. And I got some people watching. Hey guys, how you doing? I got Navi 2000 who came in. He said, how's it going, Bruce? What is your schedule going for going live? I was lucky enough to catch you live. Yeah, I don't really have a schedule yet. I'm just so busy that I do it when I can. But normally I try to do it at Saturday at the very least. I test it out Fridays, like after work, and sometimes I'll do it Sunday as well. But Saturday is typically when I do it. Let me see. Somebody said Cardano is looking good. Yeah, Cardano's looking really good. Cryptocurrency, by the way, guys. What is your Discord? It's in the description below. I watched your video on how to work remotely. Can we work remotely at entry-level jobs? Yeah, you can. Typically, the entry-level jobs I've noticed that are remote. Let me think. So entry-level job. Okay, let's take a little detour here. I want to show you guys the types of entry-level jobs that I've Indeed.com, handy dandy Indeed.com here, and just to show you like what kind of jobs I've seen that are remote. For entry level has been customer service, customer IT, customer service. Let me see, IT, customer service jobs I've seen that were remote. And then let me see, let me type in remote, see if that'll work. And yeah, these are jobs where you would just take a call, and this right here is in New Mexico, and this is a remote job that's entry level. Well, let me see. Let's see if it's entry level. Employer actively. I think you have to have some experience for this job. Help desk 1 year preferred. That's pretty light. No degree, 1 year preferred. Preferred. So they would still hire you if you kind of had some idea of what to do. This is a remote job. Yeah, took me 10 minutes to find this one. I just typed in IT customer service. And the reason why I knew that is because customer service jobs are usually the jobs where you're taking calls. Customers are calling in for the technology. Normally they'll give you some kind of entry-level training for their particular product or service that they do. You'll have like a script, and you'll take calls, and then you'll do some troubleshooting based on the script. And either they'll have you fix it, and you'll have like a break fix document that script that you go down, or you'll transfer it to a higher tier person to continue to help them. So that's one of the jobs I know that is an entry level type positions that you can find that are kind of like a call center type. Not call center, that's not the right word for it, but it's a job. You're at home and the customers are calling in, and they're calling you on the business phone, and then you're helping them on some kind of a script like that, right? The other one I would say that I actually did when I first got out of the military was a field tech. So field tech, and I wasn't 100% remote because we had classified material. But if we didn't have classified material, it could have totally been remote because a lot of the work that I was doing was overseas. So we would fly, we would fix things in the office or whatever. Like we had this little network that we would work on, and then half the time we didn't have to even be there. So the big jobs was we have to go overseas and fix this or that system. So it's travel jobs. So let me show you what those look like. So if you type in entry level field tech, these ones are very heavy in travel though. So they're very taxing if you have little kids. It's pretty hard. I mean, unless you want to be away from your family for a bit, like as a vacation or something. Yeah, so here's one that just popped up, and it is Also remote. It's paying $14 an hour, you know, and that's the thing about entry level. They don't pay a lot, but the thing is, what you want to remember is that this is a stepping stone. It's a stair. It's you're taking one step up, right? So you're going to use all the experience that you gather from this remote entry level position for your next job, where you're going to make, you know, you won't be making $14 an hour, you're going to be making $23 an hour, and then you just go from there, you know, go to the next step. So I hope that answers your question. Let me see, I got a couple other people here. He says, thank you for the information. You're welcome. AO, how you doing, AO? It says, what can I do with an A+, a Net+, a Security+, and an associate's degree and 2 IT technician internships? I want to get into cybersecurity eventually. Okay, here's what you can do, AO. So you can follow along with me. So right now I'm on Indeed.com. So what you can do, now you can do this on Indeed.com. I would recommend actually that you do this. Not only do this on Indeed.com, do it on Dice.com, one of the best technical sites if you're in the United States. Do it on Monster.com, do it on CareerBuilder.com. Excuse me, and do it on, of course, LinkedIn. Can't miss LinkedIn. And you definitely want to have your resume on all of these sites, by the way. But what you can do right now, if you're following along, go to Indeed.com. If you're in the U.S., if you're in another country, there's actually an Indeed for each country. So what you're going to do is you're going to type in Security Plus. Now, the reason why I'm typing in just Security Plus is because Security Plus is actually a really good, where's the plus sign? Is a really good certification for good positions are calling for Security Plus. Now, I don't know what state you're in, but I'm going to assume you're in D.C., Maryland. I don't know, Maryland. Yeah, I'm just going to randomly choose a location here. And I just typed in Security Plus, and I'm just going to hit Find Job. And what it's going to do is just going to find jobs that require Security Plus in MD. And you can do the same thing. Just go there, look at MD Security Plus, and then you can take it a step further. You can do this. You can really pare down your search by just typing in other highly sought after things. You have an associate's degree. You could put A.S. I don't know if that will translate, so we'll just put associate's degree. Let's see if that comes up. Associate's degree and a Security Plus, and it's coming up with something here. Let's see. Collection professional from the National Security Agency. This does not look like an IT job, though. Trimming associate cannabis. Whoa, that's a good job right there. Associate information system analyst. Okay, here we go. All right. So it came up with associate because I said associate. See, the best thing you can do is put your resume in these platforms. That's what you want to do. You want to put all the stuff that you just told me in your CV, in your resume, because the thing is, these sites, what they're really good at is they'll take the data that you put in your resume and they're going to search on your behalf. So when I come to this site and I'm signed as myself, it's actually searching. It already knows my location because I put that in there when I set up the profile. So it's only finding stuff for me. And then another thing is it's looking, it'll say, okay, this guy has a Security Plus, and it'll refer me to those things. It'll match me up like a dating site. It'll match me up with the appropriate. It does half the job for me, but you definitely still want to search. So let's look at some other things. You said, wow, on Dice there is a 553 job for Security Plus. Exactly, there's 553 jobs. Dice is incredible. Dice is the number, I believe, is still the #1 technical job aggregator out there. Another one you really want to try that I've had so much success on, so much so that I have to turn it off, is Monster.com. Monster.com is really good. That's most of my jobs have come from Monster.com. I get most messages from LinkedIn, but most of my jobs have come from Monster. Like the jobs that I actually ended up taking came from Monster.com. Try Monster.com, Dice.com. Put your resume there. You also want to search, and these are some of the things you can do to search. Security Plus is a really good way to search. You said Pen Testing Plus might be there too. Yeah, Pen Plus. I don't know how good of a degree of a certification that is. To be honest with you, I don't know how marketable. I haven't checked it in a while. But marketability is based on how many results that you get. So if you want to know the marketability of something, you'll type it in there, N plus or Network Plus, A plus, Pen Test Plus, and then see how many people are talking about it. And that'll tell you how market. It doesn't tell you how good the certification is. I'm not talking about how good it is. I mean, some might argue that CEH is a horrible certification. I've heard that so many times from so many different people. But guess what? It pays like crazy, right? So there's a difference between a certification that's going to pay you a good amount and a certification and it's going to pay you and looks okay on paper, and another one that all the geeks love it because it's so hardcore and it really means you know your stuff, right? And that would be like the if we're talking about pen testing certifications or hacker certifications, that would be the OSCP. OSCP is the mother of all certifications for that. It's the best certification you can get, bar none, hands down, right? There's some other Cali ones that you can get that are dope, but CEH is it's a paper tiger, but it makes way more. It makes a lot of money. It's really in demand because the HR departments know about it. No, just a little piece of advice there. Just something I noticed in the industry. So I hope that helps. I've heard a lot of people say that CEH is trash. Yeah, you'll hear that. I wouldn't say it's. The reason I like certifications is because at the very least it teaches you what direction you're supposed to go in. So I like the certification. CEH had a very bad rap from the very beginning because the EC Council just did some real shady stuff in the very beginning. They kind of just threw some shit together in the beginning. Excuse my French. But I think that I don't think it's a bad certification, to be honest with you. Is it up there with a Cali certification or OSCP? Of course, no, it's not. Is it a SANS course? No, it's not. It's not a SANS certification, right? But I think it's good in that it allows you to know what you need to, some of the basics of what you need to know. Now, the thing that people argue about most on CEH that I've heard most often is that when you now keep in mind, I have not taken the certification. This is one that I'm thinking about doing very soon. But the thing that I hear the most is that it's just all it does is teach you to be a script kiddie, which means just knowing scripts. It just goes down all of the scripts that you can use to hack. But it also talks about some of the methodology as well. Having read some of the books, so I wouldn't say it was bad. It's not. It's probably should be like an entry level kind of cert, but they don't use it as an entry level. They put it up there with the problem is that it's kind of overhyped, and the industry has. When I say industry, I mean like the corporate execs, HR, the people who are hiring us to do these jobs. They understand what CEH is. They don't know what OSCP is. They don't know what that is. Unless they're very tech savvy or they've been hacked before, then they probably know what it is. But CEH, they know what that is. It has a story. They know you don't have to explain it. They know what to expect. So it gets a bad rap because organizations put it up there on the same level as like what's a good pen testing certification? Help me out here, guys. Not necessarily. They don't put it up there with OSCP. OSCP is like really a master geek level certification. But there's a couple of really good certs. There's one from SANS called GPen, I think it's called. That one's really high level. And all the SANS courses, anybody I've talked to that has a SANS certification, they really know their stuff. I mean, I've yet to meet somebody who doesn't. CEH is kind of like I see it on so many resumes, and I don't know. It kind of makes you a paper tiger in a way because you don't really have to have the skills to pass it. I think that's the problem with it. They put it on this pedestal that I think that is too high, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, kind of went off on a tangent there. Somebody said, it gets tough to know which direction when it comes to search because there's so many options. Yeah, so true. So very true. But you can't go wrong in this field. I'll tell you a few that you can't go wrong. Okay. You can't go wrong. Like money. If you want to make money, if you want to make money, I'm not saying it's going to make you some kind of super geek that people are going to instantly respect or anything like that. But if you want to make money, then there's a few that you can't go wrong. One is CISSP. Say what you want about it, but if you want to make money, that's the one to get. Another one is, let me see. What's another one that's really good money-wise? CEH. If you want to make money, yeah, it pays, man. It pays. CISA is another really good one for money. Oh, what's another one? The cloud ones, any cloud one is good. Cloud is on fire right now. Security Plus is good with experience, I would say. If you have experience and you get the Security Plus, then that's money. You know, it's not like crazy money, but it's going to get you, it could upgrade you if you're entry level and you have some years of experience. You get that Security Plus, boom, you could probably ask for a little bit more at another organization. That's just my observation, guys. My observation on this thing. Easy says, I'm trying to find a job ASAP just so I can qualify to sit for the CISSP. Yeah, CISSP is straight up money, man. That changed my life. As soon as I got it, people were banging on my door to hire me for insane amount. At the time, it was insane amounts of money. So for me, I'm a poor kid from the hood. Like I'd never seen that kind of money before at that point, you know. So when they were offering me all this crazy money, I was super impressed. Okay, but I am easily impressed. So, all right. So I had a couple other things I wanted to, some other questions somebody asked me about. Oh man, I forgot to cover this part. They asked me what was the system requirements of Nessus, and here it is right here. But anyway, we're already past Nessus. So, okay, so somebody asked me this question here, and they said it's about DoD instruction 8510.01, which is, this is the risk management framework for DoD IT. And they're asking me if I provide this in my training. They ask me, do you provide training on 8510 risk management for DoD and CNSS instruction 1253 in your training? And my answer, my quick and dirty answer is no. I don't specifically talk about these two things. They might come up a couple times, but the thing is, and the reason why I opted against it is because 80% of what I teach is what you need for 80. If you know what I'm teaching, which is purely NIST 853, if you know that, if you know 837, you'll know 80% of what you need to know, or 90% of what you need to know for 8510 DoD for DoD IT risk management, and for even for the national security instruction 1253. And I'm going to explain to you why, because I'm going to show you the differences. All right, so this is the 8500 series, and the 8500 series, it's covering cybersecurity, risk management framework, and it was formerly known as DIACAP, which is DoD Information Assurance Certification and Accreditation Process. This is something that I did for many, many years. At one point, it was the only thing I knew. Like, I didn't know how to blink or breathe or speak. All I knew was DoD DIACAP Information Assurance Certification Process. It's all I did. I taught it. I wrote books about it. Everything I did was DIACAP. It's all I did. And I've since moved on from that. Thank goodness. But they transitioned about, 6-7 years ago. They transitioned from DIACAP which was certification and accreditation process, to something called risk management framework, which is it was almost entirely based on risk management framework, NIST risk management framework 8537 and 853, which is what I teach. So if you know those things, this other stuff is a piece of cake, and I'm going to show you like where the differences are. So one of the main differences, I'm going to keep this super high level. If you happen to be DoD, this will all make sense to you, and you'll start to understand where the differences are between NIST 800 series and the DoD Risk Management Framework IT. Is not that different. Here is one of the main differences, is that the DoD, the Department of Defense, has a class, has a specific category of information technologies. And this is how, what you're seeing here is how they break it up. They have an information system, and I'll give you examples of these, but you have information systems, you have PIT, which is Platform Information Technology, you have IT services, and you have IT products. And the differences, real quick, to understand this, is on the left side, on this, wait, let me see if I could point. Wait, I'll use my cursor here. On this side right here, these systems are systems that have to be not only assessed, but also they have to be, wait, my cursor's not there. Hold on a second. They have to be not only assessed, meaning you have a subject matter expert, either yourself or a third party, comes in and runs scans, checks documentation, make sure everything is good. That's what assessment means. To make sure you have all the security controls in place and it's functioning like it's supposed to, and the security controls are effectively in place. So that you do that, but also you have to authorize it. That means you have to have a document called a system security plan, and it has to be approved by an authorizing authority, which is normally like a head of agency. It's like a CIO or a CEO or somebody way high up has to take the risk by signing their name on the dotted line on the documentation that you put together, saying, yea, verily, this has been assessed. We confirm that everything is good. There's no lies on this. Everything is awesome on this. So authorization, assessment and authorization is a long and tedious process. Now on the other side of this, you've got IT services, IT products. You've got small software like maybe Microsoft Office that's on several systems or something like that. These don't need an authorization. They only need to be assessed. So this definition and these systems here is where the DoD kind of parts ways with the NIST, but really not that much, because an information system is described as a collection of it's just a collection of computers. It could be like a specific example would be like if you had it could be a floor. Enclaves could be like let's say you work in building 555, right? And on building 555, you have one of the floors is the IT department and the help and the human HR department. All those systems are an enclave. That's what an enclave is. It's an enclosed network, right? It can be attached to open networks such as the internet, or it can be attached to DMZ or something like that. And then you've got major applications that's also under information. Another example of an information system might be, you might have a weapon system that is attached to a satellite system. Like it's a satellite that's attached to a bunch of servers that are here and there all over the world, and what they do is they monitor the moon cycles or something like that. But it's a bunch of servers, computers, and it's all under one person who is, it has its own boundary. So that's also an information system. It can be a collection of different information systems that serve in one function. It can even be a standalone information system, like one computer that does something really important. That's also an information system. Now, a PIT system that means Platform Information Technology, and the way that I understand this is that it can be like, let me see if I can give you a specific example. Like, let's say there's an Air Force weapon system, and it is a gun that has a computer on it, and that computer has firmware, has a little bit of software, and it's attached to the gun, and it can fire at certain intervals. That could be a platform IT. It's specifically designed for one thing, and it's a combination of firmware, software, and hardware. That's my understanding of a platform IT. Platform IT doesn't, as far as I know, doesn't appear in the NIST 853 or I could be wrong, in NIST 837. They don't like go into detail about a platform IT, but the 8500 series does. And so that's one of the main differences. And one of the first things you do in the NIST process when you're doing categorization, preparation and categorization, is you determine what the system that you're on, you determine if that system is an information system, a major application, an enclave, or a platform IT, and that determines whether or not you're going to assess and authorize it or just assess it. So that's one of the differences between DoD Risk Management Framework IT and just NIST 800. And there's not that much different, but I'm going to show you the other things that are different here. Another thing that's different with DoD Risk Management Framework is that they have what's called national security systems. A national security system is a high-level computer system that does. Now, it could be a server, it could be a workstation, it could be a phone, right? Anything that does intelligence activities, cryptographic activities for national security systems, command and control of military forces. Like if you had a database that tracked troop movements in different countries or something, that's definitely a national security system. And weapon systems, like the smart gun that I described a few minutes ago. Those are all might be considered national security systems. And these right here are some examples of national security. If you had like a space-based laser, that might be a that would definitely be a national security system. So these are just some examples that I grabbed off of Google Images. I've never worked on any of these systems, so just so you know. I keep saying that just in case somebody's watching me. I know it's paranoid, but I'm a cybersecurity guy. So, okay, so CNSSI 1253 goes into great detail about national security systems. And so there's a few things about national security systems that set them apart from the NIST Risk Management Framework 800 series, and a little bit even from the DoD run-of-the-mill DoD Risk Management Framework IT systems. Because you got to remember, there's a difference between, say, a leave and earning statement database, right? A system that prints out the military pay for Marines or something, right? So they have some kind of a system that does this for them, and that system has to go through authorization and assessments and stuff like that. That's not a national security system necessarily. That might not be a national security system. But what national security system, a system that might be a national security system would be, like I said, a space-based laser, right? It's a weapon system, has encryption, it's tied directly to national interest of the United States, things like that. Okay, so here's some things that set this apart, a national security system apart, and what you do differently with these systems. Number one is it doesn't follow the high watermark system that the NIST does, and I can explain what I mean by that. So high watermark is, if I could describe this, right here. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah. Okay. So right here. Wait. Let me go back. So right here, we're talking about an acquisition system information type. So let's say you had a computer that did acquisitions, and some of the data on there, it specifically talks about buying and selling computers for the Department of Defense, right? So in this example, this information its impact level is moderate for confidentiality, and it is moderate for integrity, and it's low for availability. So you got moderate, moderate, low. High watermark means you take the highest impact level. That's what you take the highest watermark. Have you ever heard the term a tide raises all boats? Basically, if the watermark is here, everything on that water is also going to be raised to this level, right? So that's what high watermark means. If it's like this, everything on that watermark level is at that level. So that, with that said, this acquisition systems data type, this data would then be a moderate, because the highest level was a moderate. So therefore, it's going to be a moderate. Not so much for a national security system. That's where it differs. So a national security system, each one of the security objectives remain exactly how it is. Like there's no high watermark. So if the confidentiality is moderate, the confidentiality is moderate. If the integrity of that data is moderate, if it's a moderate impact level, it remains moderate. If the availability is a low impact level, it remains a low impact level. So that is what I mean by NSS does not do high watermark. So that's one of the differences. Another difference is the moderate and high have a more detailed definition. Another difference is that and I'll show you this one, confidentiality, integrity, and availability impact levels are different for specific security controls. And I'm going to show you that. That's what this whole NIST, NSSI 1253 is all about. It breaks down where it differs, and I'm going to show you specifically what I'm talking about there. And then another thing it does is it has overlays, meaning other controls based on what kind of national security system it is. Now, let me show you an example of what I meant by differences of the security objectives. So I told you that the confidentiality, integrity, and availability is a little bit different coming from when you compare the NIST standard, 800 series standard, compared to the national security systems. Right here, you have the 1253, and we're looking specifically at AC25 right here where the red arrow is pointing here. That's AC25. AC25 deals with account management. And account management for low, if you had a low level system, here's what this means. If you had a low level system, low impact system, like say a web server that you guys you put out information out there, it's not taking credit cards information, it's not super important, it's just all it is an information portal. If it goes down, that's fine. You just put it back up again in 2-3 days, whatever, right? It's a low impact system. On a low impact system, if it's NIST, AC25, you don't have to do it. There's no X here. That means you don't have to worry about that particular control. You don't have to do inactivity logout. That's what this one is specifically. AC25 is account management in inactivity logout. You would not have to do it on a low system. That's what this is saying. But if it was a moderate system, like let's say it was linked to bank accounts, yeah, the X means you have to do it. If it's a high system, that means you have to do it. X means you have to do it. Now, if we go to the NSS system, National Security System, and it's pointing to the same control. Let me move my face here so you can see it. The same control. Okay, move my face here. Okay, there. The same control, AC25, which is inactivity logout, you have to do it. See that little plus? All of this is in the 1253. So it has these pluses throughout the document where it doesn't matter if it's low, moderate, whatever. If it has a plus here, you'd have to do it. So that's another one of the differences between NIST 853 and what you have to do with a DoD risk management IT system if it was a national security system. So I hope that makes sense. Let me see. And then here's some overlays. I didn't have the time to find any specific overlays, but here's what they look like right here. There's overlays for if you had an intelligence system, if you have a cross-domain solution. Cross-domain solution is like it's a server where you're moving data that is top secret to secret or secret to top secret. There's a bunch of processes you have to do, and there's a technical way to do it to make it so that this top secret information, data on this top secret information can go down to secure, just a regular secret information or unclassed information. So that's a cross-domain solution. And so there's a whole overlay. There's a whole another group of controls that you would have to do on top of the NIST 853. There's also one for space platforms, and then there's just a general security overlay template that you do for all national security systems. So that's another difference that you have to do with DoD Risk Management Framework IT. It's not really a lot. I know it sounds complicated. It's really not. And this is something maybe I should just teach separately so I can go in more detail and not have to speed through this stuff and give more specific examples. And I think that may be it. That's all I had for that. All right. Let me see. I've got some people talking to me here. Let me see what we have here. Let me see. AL says, I might get the CISSP in the future. I would highly recommend it. If this is the path you're trying to go to, yeah, I would highly recommend a CISSP. If you like money. If not, don't worry about it. Another one, if you like money, is CIS, the CISA, the CISM. Those are actually really good certifications for money lovers. Another one, of course, you have to have the background and you need to have some experience with some of those as well. Like I said, CH is also a good one if you're a pen tester. S says a simulation system. Okay, he must have been talking about something I was talking about earlier. Let me see. SS says, assess are only usually software-based applications. Oh, okay, that's good to know. Thank you. That's good information. So what they're saying, going back here to these PIT controls, is what they were referring to. SS is referring to. So if it's software, like I don't know, come up with some. If it's let's say it's Skype, you have Skype on a system, you would only you do an assessment on that, and that's it. But you wouldn't have to do the authorization process on that, which is a much more cumbersome process, by the way. Let me see. Only if it's not affected by the STIGs. Oh, okay. You're saying assess only are usually software-based type applications only if it's not affected by the STIGs. Only if it's not affected by the STIGs. I don't know what you mean by that. Not affected by, meaning there's no STIG for it, or the STIGs have a lockdown procedure for it, and so you don't have to worry about it. I mean, if it doesn't have a STIG for that particular application, like let's say Mozilla Firefox doesn't have a STIG, then you do an assessment on it. Is that what you mean? Which I think it does, by the way. Smooth Virus says, hey, wait, let me. SS says, when you were talking about the watermarks. Oh, okay. Smooth Virus says, hey, nice to catch you online. I purchased the resume course yesterday. Brilliant stuff so far. Well, thank you so much. And by the way, look in the description below. There's the little description below to contact me directly if you want me to check out your resume. And we can talk about getting you in this field. I mean, hopefully you're already in this field, and it's just a matter of like locking you down on, and using all the tricks that you need to get in there. Let's see. It says I have been in network consulting, system admin, tier 2. Wow. Okay. Support for 25 years. I got my Security Plus last year, and I got my CSSP a month ago. Looking to change tracks to information security. Oh man, information security smooth virus is what I do, and it has been. Let me put it to you this way: I have not been out without a job. I mean, if you look at all the stuff that's happening in the news, I mean, it's very obvious. Like if you're cybersecurity is so hot right now, and it's because humanity is using data. We rely so heavily on data, on information, and it's so important to. It's getting more and more important to secure it, and so many organizations don't have the skills. They don't have the people. They don't have people like yourself who has a background in networking and system admin, and then transitions into cybersecurity. So you actually will know what to look for, you know. And now that you have that CISSP, man, it's gonna blast doors open for you. I'm telling you, my life has not been the same since I got that CISSP. Now you need to put it on your resume correctly. Like there's certain things, little things that I do on my resume that have made it so I've been able to exploit the system as much as possible, you know, and to my advantage. I've not been out without a job, a good paying job. The only thing that I would say that it takes me a little bit longer to get a job sometimes is that I'm just picky, right? Sometimes I'm like, nah, I don't want to work at this place. I don't want, they're not paying me enough. Right, I want to, and then I'll get an offer from somewhere else, and I'm like, okay, that's better. So yeah, it's like somebody said years and years ago when I first started my very first steps in this career path, around year 2000. Was it year 2000? Year 2001, something like that. And they told me, they said, and I found this to be true. They said, with a CISSP. If you're willing to go anywhere, you can make a lot of money, or if you're willing to go any place, you can either stay where you're at and just make average money, or you can go if you're willing to travel, or if you're willing to move to another location, sky's the limit. That's what they said to me, and I've found that to be true. Whenever I move, like one time I went overseas as a contractor for like 2 years, and I made crazy money, and up to $98,000 of it was tax free at the time. So yeah, I mean, if you're willing to go overseas, yeah, I mean, there's so many good jobs. I don't recommend that. Like it was really hard on my family, so I do not recommend doing that. Let me see. Smooth Virus says, I got laid off in February and hit the books for hours a day and wrapped up that CISSP. Still sitting at home, but I'm hitting the job boards hard now. Oh man. Send me your resume, man. Just look in the description below. I've got my Discord channel there. If you have any problems with it, do a comment. Hit that like button and then give me a comment and then I'll get back with you. Another thing is Discord. Hit me up on there, and then I'll get your resume, and I'll put some of the tricks that I use in my resume. It's not lies, man. It's not deceitful. It's just there's certain things in the algorithm of LinkedIn and in Dice and in Link and in all the other sites that I've noticed, so I can help you with the wording on it is what I'm saying. Okay, let's see. 6 figures guaranteed. I think they're talking about the CISSP. My target is 6 figures this time around. I've been close before, but never crossed the 100K line. Yeah. It was a big deal for me when I first did it. And if I could tell you the story when I first did it, man, it is a crazy story. So I used to have this blog, and on the blog I would talk about stuff like this. I just noticed there was no information on it, and anytime I was new to the field, and I could not find information that I thought was really helpful. And the way I am, I'll just keep digging and digging until I find the information myself. Whether I have to go to the federal documents, or I have to go to federal sites, or ask a coworker or something, I will find the information that I need, right? And I would research it, find it, and I would put it on this blog that I had many years ago. And I just kept doing that. And I found like a little bit of fame, like people knew who I was, because I was the only person like really talking about it at the time. And this company found me, this small company, small company, found me, and she found my information. And she says, wow, this is breaking everything down for me. I'm trying to get into DICAP. It was DICAP at the time, Risk Management Framework, DICAP. And this is breaking everything down. I like the way you wrote this. And she said, could you make a book for me? Could you create a workbook for me? I said, yeah. So I took the stuff from my site and I made it into a better format and made a workbook. And then I sold it to her, for a few $1,000s. And I was like, wow, that's the first time I wrote something and like made money off of it. And that was a big deal. But then she said, could you teach this? I said, yeah. She said, I've got these 5 sites. And then we negotiated, and I wasn't trying to leave, right? I was at a okay job. I was making like 95 or something. And I didn't really want to leave. I was trying to just kind of chill. And I said, well, I'll do it for 110, right? I just threw a number out there, and she offered me 105, and I took it. And that was the first time. So I got a job off of a blog that I had. My first time that I crossed that number. Now it turns out that number is not that big of a deal anymore. But wow, it's been a crazy journey. It's all because I would say knowing information security. Information security has been. I just happen to be in a field that's super hot, and it's going to be hot for some time. And I was been lucky enough to be in this field. I know that everybody doesn't have these opportunities, so I'm very thankful. And some people, are in their 30s and I chose a path that maybe is not as lucrative. Maybe they like it, but it's just doesn't pay as well. So I happen to be in one that I actually like, and it pays really good. So. And I have so many options all the time. So it's really good, and it's a great blessing. So congratulations to you, by the way, on getting your CISSP. And you're in for an amazing journey, because you're gonna find a great job. Either you're gonna find a great job that pays okay, or an okay job that pays really good. So let me see. Somebody said, Bruce, you see my comment in regards to controls that don't apply, but if affected by a failed STIG, it must be implemented. Wait, Bruce, you see my comment in regards to controls that don't apply. Okay, control that don't apply, but is affected by a failed STIG. If it must be implemented. Okay, let me see what comment you're talking about here. If a control doesn't apply, it's affected by a STIG, meaning failed. Are you asking me or telling me? I'm sorry, I'm confused. Okay, I'm gonna go back to your top comment. Maybe I missed something here. I'm missing some information. The information's corrupt. I'm confused. System overload. Let me see. I'm looking for SS's information here. A simulation system. Assess only are usually software-based type application. Only if it's affected by a STIG. Then you said when you were talking about watermark, if a control doesn't apply, If it's affected by a STIG, meaning it failed, it needs to be implemented. The control doesn't apply. I'm almost currently okay. Okay, SS, I'm sorry, I'm confused. I'm sorry. I can't. Your message is like sprinkled throughout the entire. Trying to put it together, but maybe I'm just not understanding what you're saying here. Anyway, let me see. Tony Martin says, I've been over 100K line for a couple years now. New goal is 250 without doing 2 jobs. Oh, man. You'll get there. How do you suggest I do that? Have you thought about being a contractor, either as a prime or a sub? Yeah, I've thought about it. I've thought about doing contract. I've done contract work actually a couple times by myself. I've done like individual contracts before, like on a very small level, like it's just me doing work and turning in those hours on like a LLC or something, right? Working for another small organization as a contractor. I've done that before, but I've actually thought about making a contract, having a contracting, being like a staffing kind of agency. I've thought about that because I have the skills to where I could go in to an organization and then break it down. Then I would know who to hire. Then I got you guys. I could probably hire some of you guys and get like a $400,000 contract with the government or something, and then hire you guys, pay you a crazy and stupid amount of money, right? And then like I've thought about that. That has crossed my mind, but I'm trying to work smarter, right? So that's one of the things that crossed my mind of how I could probably do it. And I knew some people who did it, and they were very successful at it. So yeah, I mean, I've thought about it. I've considered it. What I've been doing is starting multiple businesses. What's worked better for me and why I haven't gone down the path of doing contract, and I might still do it in the future. I don't know, because I've known people, like I said, they were making crazy money doing that for the government. But for me, what I'm doing now that's working really good, is on track to make the kind of money you just said, which is terrifying because the taxes. But what I've been doing is doing different businesses and investments, and that has really been working for me, Tony. Like it's man, I'm on some other path that I'm going down some road that I don't know many people I don't personally know a lot of people who've done the stuff I'm doing. So, and it's because I've met people who are doing it, a couple people here and there who say, hey, you should try real estate, for example, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they'll say, well, do you do this, you do that? And I'm doing those things, and it's working. So there's that. So we've got like, I don't know, probably 5 different things we're doing, like 5 different streams of income. And it is amazing. It's amazing. In totally different fields, by the way. Like 5 different things in 5 completely different fields. And some of them don't make a lot of money. But these different fields are making so that, and this is kind of off topic, guys, but it's something you should consider, having multiple streams of income, because in this economy, the way things are going, and I'm not going to get political or anything. I don't have an answer. All I know is I'm trying to survive, and I'm not trying to just survive. I'm trying to thrive. And so the way that I've been doing it is to try different business ventures and different investments, and it's really been working. So one of them is real estate. One is teaching this, and then another one is like this merchant account service that we have. That's 3, and those might not be what you want to do, but the point is to have different income streams that take a little bit of your time, and it's to the point now where I could quit my current job and I'd be okay. And this took years, by the way. This is not magic. This was hard work. This was 6 years of grinding, and now we're to a point where I could quit my job, and we'd be okay. But we're just trying to reach some other level that and I know people are suffering out there, and that's the only reason I decided that I'm talking about this is that one of the things you should consider is having multiple streams. I'm not necessarily talking about having to be working remotely. I've done this before too, by the way. Working remotely with your job and with job A and then remotely with job B. I've done that before. I should really do a whole video about that. It was hard. It was really hard. It was I felt like a zombie. It was like I was working so many hours, and I did it for about 8 months. It was brutal, and they were both high-level jobs, and I was pulling down over 200, and I don't want to ever do that again. But it depends on how many hours that you work. And if it's like a side job that I can do in 2 months or something, then that's no big deal, right? If it's like a side job with 40 hours of work or something, I can knock it out in a month or something, then that's no big deal. But if it's like a job and you're doing 2 of them, man, it's brutal. So what we've been doing is like we set up these different businesses that me and my wife, we set up these different businesses and investments that we can do, and we try to make those make a certain level of income. And if it doesn't make income, we get off of it and we move to something else. And it's really been working. It's something you should really consider, multiple streams of income in different industries. Taboo Smash, thank you for that $5. Appreciate you. Says, what do you think about web development industry? This is okay. Look, Taboo, I'm probably not the right person to ask for this, but I'll just give you my 10 cents. Web development industry, you can make cash on it, but it's a very saturated market. It just seems very saturated, and in the U.S., for a person in the U.S., it's a very saturated market. But if you can find a niche, like for example, one niche would be if you did web development specifically for sites like mine where I'm teaching. I'm willing to pay somebody good money for that, like to help me develop my site. I'm not a web developer, right? If you have the eye for it and you happen to be super talented at it, you got a dope portfolio, then you can make crazy money doing this, especially if you're in a niche market. Like I said, like one niche market for web developer would be if you develop web pages for like for my market, which is teaching, right? For just Thinkific, Teachable, those kinds of sites. You specifically make web development for those, and you have a portfolio, and it's a niche market, then yeah. Another one would probably be, another niche market might be like DeFi sites, like those DeFi, like Sushi Swap or something. I bet you they might be looking for a web developer. Another thing you could probably look into that I don't see many people doing is offering security services. If you know this kind of thing, offering security services for websites. I don't see a lot of people doing that, and I've needed that several times. And a couple times, years ago, one of my sites got hacked. I used to have all these blogs, and one of my sites it just kept getting hacked, right? And I'm like, what is going on? And it turns out the actual hosting company there's something wrong with the hosting company, so I had to move my stuff off of it. But Anyway, I had to pay these guys hundreds of dollars to clean this thing up, right? Hundreds of dollars to clean my site up. And I started doing it on my own. Like, it was so expensive. But that's something you should probably consider too, is web development, maybe web development with security on the side. If you can do that, if it's your skill set, oh man, I'm sure that would be hot. Especially if you like went on Fiverr and said, look, not only do I do web development, but I also will look at the security. I'll scan your system or whatever. I don't know how you would do that. I don't know what tool you would use. But if you could do that, that would be fire. I'm sure that would be a hell of a market. Niche web development markets, I think, would be hot. Right. But other than that, if you're just doing plain web development for like WordPress or something, there's just too many of those guys out there. And there's somebody in Bangladesh who'll do it for $5 to, there's somebody in Bangladesh who'll do an incredible job. They're a genius at it, and they'll do it for $5 where you're asking for $3,000, right? So who am I going to choose? Who could, let me see. Who am I going to, you know what I mean? All right, guys, that's it. I got to go. I'm going to go watch this movie called Free Guy with the family. I'll let you guys know how it is. So thank you guys for your questions. Appreciate the $5, Taboo. Again, if you guys want to contact me about anything whatsoever, I can't promise I'll get to it immediately, but I will try. Look in the description below. You'll see my contact information for my site, the community, where I'm doing this series right now where I'm answering questions with videos, and I'm not editing it. I'm just doing the video and I post it, and then I'm going to edit it later, right? And it'll come out like 3 months from now or something, but you'll see it first on that site unedited. And then another place you can contact me is Discord. Sign up for Discord, ask questions, post jobs. Sometimes I'll post jobs that people are sending to me that I don't need. So there's jobs there. There's Q&A for me or for other people who are skilled, and just building up a community here. All right, guys, that's it. I'm out of here. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching.